Hello, welcome to the reading room. My name is Dee. I was going to sit down and work on some video ideas and content that I had when I saw that I had been tagged in a Bookish Elements tag by Michelle at Literally Me. The tag originated from Sarah Collar at my granny era. So I watched a couple of the videos going around and decided, since I was tagged, what I was going to get into the questions. So the first question is, how do you feel about foreshadowing? My take is it depends on what type of book I'm reading. Sometimes I just like to be surprised out of the blue. A lot of the Freedom McFadden books I have read, I just get to the twist at the end. It's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. But there are some times when you're reading maybe a by a numbers murder mystery, crime thriller, or something of that nature, where it is nice to put some of those little elements of foreshadowing in there so you can feel smart when you figure it out, or that, aha, yeah, I knew that was coming moment. One element of foreshadowing that I think a lot of people overlook is a lot of people think that when an author foreshadows, it's always going to be something toward the end of the book. But it's always neat when an author will foreshadow something that's going to happen maybe in the second act of the book or another part in the book, and then that is in essence tied to the end. I think it's a pretty interesting way to use foreshadowing. So again, it just depends on the type of books I'm reading. Question 2, what do you use for bookmarks? I don't know, sometimes I wonder what I don't use for bookmarks. Sticky notes are pretty popular with me. I have a lot of them on my desk, so sometimes I'll throw it in there. It's pretty good for jotting notes down. Recently, what I have started using is these little magnet, if I can get it open, these little magnet bookmarks and go over the page. They're pretty good. And sometimes I'll just come across something that I'll just start using as a bookmark. My wife brought me something from a website called Stoic Lifestyle. I like to read about Stoicism. And then this came with the item, and on the back it has a quote by Marcus Aurelius. It says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find your strength." So this has been probably the thing I've been using the most lately. I'll finish one book. When I go to grab the other book, I'll slide that in there. So those are the main few things that I use. Question 3, have you ever found something strange in a book? What interests me to find in books are things that are dated, receipts. I found a letter once that was written from a mother to a daughter. I believe it was dated late 70s. The oldest item I think I found in a book was a receipt or something that was dated in the 60s. So that's always something neat to kind of come across. If you're reading an older book and you pull something out, it's like, whoa, this is from 1971. Somebody's had this book since 1971. And I think it does give a little bit more character to the book when you find those things out, and tells you a little something possibly about the person that read it before you. Okay, number 4, how do you feel about inscriptions and annotating? I'm a big proponent for annotating, especially if I'm reading nonfiction books, historical books. And if I'm reading a classic book, like I recently just read Moby Dick, which was a challenging read. I enjoyed it, but I found myself just having to jot some notes down, things I wanted to look up. I got a note foreshadowing of all things. It was kind of cool. So if I kind of get just a used a copy and it's nothing like a special edition, I will annotate it. So that's how I feel about annotating. So hold on, I did have a note here since I'm kind of doing this off the cuff. Oh, no, that's the next question. Hold on, I didn't have anything for annotating. All right, moving on. Question number 5, how do you read introductions and footnotes? If footnotes are included in the flow of the reading at the bottom of the page, I definitely will refer to them. If they are in the back of the book, I will skim over them after I've read the book, but I don't like going back and forth like that. So I do like it for footnotes that they are in the bottom. One place where I feel that they are very useful is if you're reading a foreign author. I recently read Three Body Problem, and it's set in China. So the author had referenced a few events and a few people that I wouldn't know what they were or who they were had he not put a footnote saying what that is. So that's definitely a time where footnotes are very helpful. Same for classics too, I think, because it's another thing. Like Moby Dick was written in 1851, and there were some references in there. So when the author can annotate that to make it an accessible, how they're using that in the story, I think that's extremely very helpful. And then as far as me annotating, I always felt when you're reading a book, it's like having a conversation with the author. So when you're annotating in there, that's how you are part of that conversation. So, and that's all I had for that. Let's see. Do you use bookish accessories? The few videos that I watched, a lot of people reading lights, book sleeves. I've gotten away from book lights. I'm able to read with the light on, and I also have my own office. So if I can't lay in bed with the light on and read, if it's going to disturb my wife, I can just come sit in my office. So I've gotten away from book lights. Two things I think that are bookish that I use is last year I bought a reading journal from Amazon. One to help me making booktube videos, and I found I actually really enjoy using even outside booktube videos. But basically what it is you get pages that got a couple loaded questions for you to answer, and then it gives you a page for your thoughts and quotes. And that's where I'll do a lot of the annotating. If I'm reading something and I come across a quote or something very interesting, once I finish that chapter, then I'll just grab this real quick and jot it in there. And it helped for making booktube videos, so I can go and read, what I thought of that book and kind of start build bullet points or a script or something that I want to talk about that book. My one, I guess you could say, bookish vice that I do have is bags. Bags to carry books. I don't know what it is. I see a bag, I'm like, that's so cool. So a couple, I have some of these smaller little saddlebags. Me and the wife are going away for the weekend. I can toss my iPad in here, a couple books that I'm going to read, and that I have it. I can grab it, take it to the motel room, and so that's that. If I'm going away for a longer trip, I found this at a thrift store. I've had it for quite a few years. It's actually a bag airline pilots use. I guess they got to carry a lot of stuff with them. So, but I'll use this if I'm going away for a week or 2 weeks, because then I could put, again, iPad. I'm a writer, so I can throw notebooks and pens in there, and then I can grab a handful of books to put in there too. So it's all in one thing. So, and then I bought a white backpack. I saw somebody with a white backpack once, and I was like, okay, I have to have that again. Another good weekend thing to throw some books in. And my favorite thing that I have, when I was in the military, I got this, I believe, in Korea, and it's just a saddlebag. There's no fancy bells or whistles to it, but what it did have was some pretty cool room in it. So I was able to put I got a marksmanship pin, I got flags from the countries I've been in. I do need to update it. I miss a couple, but it's been a while. So I really enjoy this. It's tells a story about me. So if people see it, they go like, oh, what's that? So yeah, that's probably my only vice when it comes to bookish items is I'll see a bag. Sometimes it'll get to the point where I buy a bag and then I have to donate a couple to Goodwill, because you're starting to move away from some of the other bags. So question number 7, how do art and illustrations affect your reading experience? Again, comes down to the type of book I'm reading. I recently read a book about Greece, and it was kind of cool. They had pictures of the vases and some of the architecture, some of the money that they had talked about in the book. So a lot of that enhances the book. I do like it when it's in the flow of the reading. I know mainly when you're looking at illustrations of books, it's just a chunk of pages in the middle, and you're kind of looking at it, and you're like, where did they talk about? Okay, you're going to go back. And so, but yeah, and then what I wanted to share was, this was a book I had as a kid. This isn't the actual book. That one, I read it so much it deteriorated, and I was fortunate enough to come across one in a thrift store, and it's Aesop's Fables, and it is just a gorgeously illustrated book. There's the fox and the grapes. He's hopping up to get the grapes, and it's just a crow in the picture. So it's my favorite book in my favorite illustrations that I have, and I was ecstatic when I found a second copy of this I have it displayed with some of my other books. Let's see, which format do you prefer, hardback, paperback, or audio? For me, reading is a tactile experience. I like to feel pages, so I don't do audiobooks whatsoever. I'm glad they exist, because there are people that they can't read, but they still want to I guess, have that reading experience of a good story or a lot of self-help productivity books you can just listen to in your car. So I'm glad that audiobooks exist to open reading up to a larger population that might not be able to grab a book and just don't feel comfortable with it. But for me, I can't do audiobooks. Paperbacks, generally with fiction, I prefer, because sometimes I'll read longer books and it's just a little bit more comfortable because I'm going through a little bit quicker. I do like classics and a lot of my nonfiction books, especially my biographies that I read, to be hardback. Classics mainly because they look good when they are on a bookshelf. And then just for some reason, reading a biography with a hardback, I don't know. It's like I said, it's a tactile experience, and it just feels good. So, okay, let's see. It's supposed to tag people, but I wanted to check my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I was just oh, I totally forgot the coolest thing I wanted to talk about. Let's see here. I'm gonna go back to 2 points. Introductions. I was surprised at the number of people that don't read introductions for books. A lot of people don't read them if it's the author, read the book. Some people don't read them, read the book, and then go back and read them. And it kind of blew my mind because it's an introduction. Now, my caveat to that is I do not like long introductions, because then I feel the person is probably telling us more than they need to about what we're going to read. But if it's a shorter introduction, I don't know, 5 to 10 pages, I don't mind if a few things, I don't necessarily want to get spoiled, but that the person that's written the introduction has highlighted for some reason, and that does enhance the reading experience from going on. So that was a little bit of a surprise. Bookish accessories, the thing I forgot I wanted to mention was the one thing I want the most as far as a bookish accessory is an old style card catalog set of drawers. They're hard to find, and when you find them, they are expensive, but it's just something that looks so neat. I grew up in the era where, you didn't have Wikipedia. You went and looked in the card catalog for whatever books you have. So I would love to have like a smaller one. And then if I had that, I'd probably, anytime I would buy a book, I'd make a little card for it and pop it in there. I would use the Dewey Decimal System. It's something that I wanted for a while. And whenever I come across an affordable one that I think will look nice displayed and suits the needs for what I want to use it for, I'm going to pick it up. And that'll probably be one of the pride and joy of my bookish accessories. That's the word I was looking for. All right, tagging people. This is such a new channel. I only have maybe 1 or 2 subscribers, but I'm going to tag a booktuber that I just discovered night before last. She has a very quirky personality, very good personality. She's very enthusiastic about the book she reads. And how I knew I enjoyed her channel and her presentation of what she talks about is she reads dark romance. And I don't ever see myself reading that. But just her, like I said, her personality, she's got a real sharp wit, good sense of humor, is going to make me watch her videos. And I'm sure at some point in time, she's going to convince me through her enthusiasm to read something. So she'll be tagged in the comments. A thank you to Michelle at Literally Me for tagging me in this. It was a little fun, and hey, an extra booktube video idea to get out there. All right, so thanks for joining me in the reading room. I hope you have a great reading experience here soon, and I will see you again. Thanks.